Thank you for listening to my Postdoc Transformation Show. Maybe you now want to leap out of science and start your own side business as a runway for your better future? Then you will benefit from my free business preparation quiz as linked in the show notes. If you want to organize your marketing and selling efforts, please also subscribe to my new video podcast show, Creating Reorganized. I share my tricks from creating this show, speak with business owners who run a podcast for their business, and learn from podcasting service providers about their tools boosting our businesses. My new video podcast show, Creating Reorganized, will also be a living example of applied industrial and occupational psychology for my students in real life. And now, let's get to this episode. Postdoc Transformation. Postdoc Transformation. Postdoc Transformation. Invest in your postdoc transformation. Welcome to the seasonal show for scientists leaping into business. In every sponsored episode, we are happy to recommend employers of choice for you. Make sure to check your readiness to leap out of science with us for free, as linked in the show notes. For your career transition, we offer customized career transition e-courses and memberships also at graduate schools all over the world. Maybe yours too. And if your university isn't yet our customer, enroll in your free email course for career transition made simple, as linked in the show notes. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, with my team who is rooting for you. And let's build your postdoc transformation with this episode. Dear Postdoc Transformer, welcome back to the Postdoc Transformation Show for the scientists leaping into business. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, and today we're exploring a unique and symbolic exercise, creating a time capsule to find peace in letting go of your identity as a scientist before starting your first non-academic or non-scientific role in business or industry. Are you ready? To be honest, before becoming a mom of 2 kids in primary and secondary school, I wasn't even aware of that concept. However, I have always collected memorabilia from my past in a huge box, and I'm looking forward to look into it together with my kids one day. I learned about this concept from the school teacher of my kid while preparing to start 5th grade in her secondary school, and I thought this is a great episode topic also for you. So maybe you've been already contemplating about the big question, how do I carry forward the best of my academic experience while letting go of the aspects that no longer serve me? How can I make peace with, leaving the world of science behind me, at least in a way that I have known it since entering university, graduating as a bachelor, as a master, and maybe already as a PhD, and step into the new role for which I have no clue about, the social and professional name of the game. Well, today we're going to talk about exactly that and how you can create your very own postdoc transformation time capsule to acknowledge, honor, and also let go of the identity as a scientist before stepping into your new professional journey. Plus, I'll share my own examples as a scientist who made the leap into business right after my graduation day in neuroscience. Before we dive into the nuts and bolts of making a time capsule, let's talk about why such a time capsule is a powerful exercise for your career transition. So when you're leaving science behind, you will also say goodbye to the very structured and methods and evidence-based world of science and trade that in for a fast-paced, sometimes even ambiguous world of business. So transitioning out of academia into a non-scientific role can feel like a significant change in identity. And once you have determined your readiness to leap and want to transition into business or industries, then you can enroll in your free email course with 10 actionable, bingeable email lessons until you start your job in business. You'll get 10 emails like this. Number 1, how to leap out of science. Number 2, how to build your sustainable LinkedIn profile. Number 3, how to read social media and network. Number 4, how to research your favorite jobs and employers. Number 5, how to do information interviews to get insights. Number 6, how to create your customized applications with ChatGPT. Number 7, how to prepare your thesis from a business point of view. Number 8, how to apply to your favorite employers. Number 9, how to choose the right job offer. Number 10, how to prepare for your new job. And just to give you a heads up of what can happen to you, I quickly share my own career transition and, most importantly, my emotional turmoil back then. I remember that feeling when I made the leap myself. It wasn't just about getting a new job. It was about letting go of this deeply ingrained idea of who I was. I was a scientist, right? A researcher decorated with 2 scholarships, 3 first author publications, 1 monography, and 2 junior researcher awards. I wanted to become a professor since I was a teenager. And suddenly, I had to figure out how I can let go of that identity while still appreciating what it gave me. Trying not to be arrogant, to be humble, and to learn as much as I can to hit the ground running was something I had to learn in a hard way. I was absolutely thrown into cold waters when I leaped into business because I applied at Aldi South for becoming a technical translator because obviously I was able to speak in English and also I had a few coding skills. But I would have never applied for the role as an IT analyst. However, the hiring manager challenged me and said, with a PhD, you probably won't be happy as a technical translator. So what if you would start as an IT analyst? Long story short, I started as an IT analyst. Imposter syndrome was my friend for more than a year, I think. And I just want to tell you that this phase was a long phase because I had not created a time capsule. Because I was always in between this, why did I leave? Should I have tried or not, or whatever. The only thing that was keeping me onwards in my transition and to embrace my future was because I was aligned, my decision was aligned according to my vision of life. And that's part of the next episode as well. So let's go back to the concept of a time capsule. It's an intentional way to release your past self without rejecting it. You're not erasing your experience. Instead, you're packaging it up, put a bow on that, honor it, and give yourself the freedom to move forward into a new chapter. It creates psychological closure. How do you actually create this time capsule? I want you to approach this as a meaningful ritual, an opportunity to reflect on what has shaped you and what you want to bring into your next professional chapter. Hey, before we continue, we want to appreciate those who finance this valuable episode for you. I want to share with you my best marketing agent. Serving my underprivileged, underrepresented, and underserved audience, leads, and clients is key for me as an Asian working mom, business owner, and professor in Germany. But I can't be marketing and selling all the time, and I have to be mindful with my own resources. So I chose Podbean as my podcast hosting and monetizing provider. I'm on the Unlimited Plus plan for our PostdocTransformation Show and Creating Reorganized Show. With Podbean, your audience can inclusively listen and watch your podcast according to their visual and auditive needs. You can also embed your customized podcast player on your external website or use one of the beautiful website templates. You can easily share your podcast on all major podcasting directories, which allows you to reach a huge audience on their favorite devices in their countries. Podbean also has an ads marketplace, and you can easily attract and manage sponsors for dynamic ads, which are played out depending on your audience criteria. This way, you can serve your audience for free. Some of them become your clients eventually, but your advertising sponsors independently support you financially in each episode. See insightful stats per demographic and which episodes attracted most listeners so you can tailor your future episodes for your leads and clients and present suitable external ads. If you want to try Podbean for your own podcasting, DM or email me Podbean so I can share my experience and consult you. Please check it out via my link in the show notes. I only get a small financial reward if you become their customer using my Podbean link. Thanking our advertisers for their financial support, we are happy to return to our inspiring episode. Here's a quick guide to help you get started. You can write 3 letters. Letter number 1, write a letter to your scientist self. Explain why you want to leave academia. What has changed since you started in academia and what has disappointed you or disillusioned you. Identify and also be grateful for all your lessons learned, the resilience you have built, and the skills you have gained through your research and your publishing and your experiment. You've been shaped by this journey, and it's time to honor it. And if you are or will be looking back in anger, you can include a section of venting about the things you had to endure. This might be even useful as a heads up if your younger peers or your future children want to become scientists themselves. And to be honest, especially if you are an underrepresented, underprivileged, and underserved scientist, you might have experienced more and other things as other people in the lab. Identifying and discerning what you can and cannot change will also help you to cope with future challenges in a new setting, because usually the demons are the same. Number 2, write another letter to your future self, imagining how you will be growing in your new role, how you will adapt, and the new skills that you will develop in the business world. And if you can't write one now because it's all too, diffuse, don't worry. In our last episode, number 57, Embrace Your Future, Appreciate Your Past, we actually talked about goal setting, and we also talked about the business model use. So that episode will be very handy for writing your letter to the future self. And just to be realistic, this gap between PhD graduation or your last postdoc position and your first job in business, this gap can be also very long, more than a year. So being jobless for more than a year is another thing that you have to be prepared for. And did you know that we offer deep dive e-course workshops and memberships at graduate schools, maybe also at yours in the future? Ask your graduate school coordinator whether they want to book my services so that I can deliver them to you 24/7, 365 on your mobile device. And even better, if you get us paid by your grad school, we will pay you 50% recurrent sales commissions. So you will earn money with us as we help you and your PhD besties to transition into business. We can build a postdoc transformation together. Woohoo! Now back to this episode, number 3, write a letter as a warning and a checkup before coming back to academia. This might sound crazy, I know, but especially if you feel forced out of academia because you tried everything and you achieved everything but tenure professorship, or maybe you left before and have the vague feeling of not having tried enough, or whatever, right? So if you have this mixed feelings, then it is possible that every now and then you will think of coming back. And I swear, at every networking event I go to, when I share that I am a professor, sooner or later, 1 or 2, 3 people will confide with me that, they are also a PhD, they want to come back to academia, or they want to finish that PhD, or whatever. So all of that is legitimate. And that's why I recorded also this episode number 11, the best reasons for you to come back to academia after you have thrived in business. Listen to that or save that for later. You will thank me later. But back to you again for this situation. Here's your writing prompt. What do you need or what must happen so that you would want to come back to academia? What do you want to do differently as a professor compared to before you were leaving, which is today, right? So what do you want to do differently as compared to other professors from your past? Essentially, what would be your why to come back? And in all 3 letters, you can be creative. Maybe you want to draw a picture, create a collage, write a song, or, a poem. If you're not creative, you can even use AI to create something with your words, with your letter. I often write songs for important milestones, turning points in my life. For example, I wrote and sang also my PostdocTransformation Show jingle. Every time I listen to that while I'm editing or so, it reminds me that I actually had plans to record songs when I was 16. I participated in songwriting contests. Just in case you're asking, no, all major record companies at that time rejected me. So that is gone in my past. So now back to you again. I want you to think about symbolic items from your lab or your office, okay? So include physical items that represent your time in academia. Maybe it's an old lab notebook or a research tool like a pipette, or in my case, it would have been something with an EEG cap, or it can even be a conference book or abstract book or a badge or something like that. These objects hold memories and represent a version of yourself that is evolving. And letting go of them in this capsule helps release your attachment to that identity. And here's something that is probably very old school and you would laugh, but I never did this, so I'm telling you. Take a picture of your lab and your desk. I wish I had done that back then. That was not a thing to document everything with your iPhone, so to speak. But, now my messy desk and paper piles stained with coffee and breadcrumbs and everything, the EEG, the fMRI scanner in Germany, Australia, and England are just memories in my head. And the building in Germany actually has been refurbished, so there's nothing that I can go to in Germany to celebrate my memories. And I want you to have at least pictures of that. Let's pause for a moment to respect those who sponsor this valuable episode. I want to share with you my time and energy saver. As a professor for industrial and occupational psychology, I also teach about the future of work. And as a former IT strategy consultant, of course I embrace AI to be a future-proof podcast producer of the PostdocTransformation Show and the Creating Reorganized Show. Descript is the video and audio podcast editing tool of my choice. I pay for the creator plan, and it's worth every dollar. Descript comes with an integrated professional remote recording studio for the best audio quality for your guests. For example, I record an hour interview with a guest or a solo, and instead of painstakingly doing a rough cut and deleting all the ums and ahs and filler words and rambling around, which I did for hours, I now click on Descript AI, editing for clarity, and my rough cut is done in seconds or a minute. For fine-tuning, I edit text instead of audio waves, and I just insert all my pre-recorded music, intro, ads, and outro, like this one, in a matter of minutes. I can then easily export closed captions, fine-tune AI-driven summaries, chapter markers and titles, which I feed into my show notes and podcast host. Descript even suggests the best clips for social media, and the video editor automatically includes the synchronized speakers' cameras and audio captions. I can also include stock graphics or pre-recorded videos, and you can find all our short-form examples on our Instagram and TikTok at PostdocTransformation. If you want to try out Descript for your own podcast editing, DM or email me Descript so I can share my experience and consult you. Please check it out on my link in the show notes. I only get a small financial reward if you become their customer using my Descript link. After this quick appreciation of our sponsors, we are now back in our insightful episode. Your key scientific achievements are also the next thing that I want you to cherish. You should collect all the things that represent your proudest academic achievements or accomplishments. Maybe it's a published paper or an award. This isn't about just, letting go and throw that away, but also about reminding yourself about how far you've come. These achievements aren't a race. They are part of a foundation that you're building on as you move into business. Really, print out your papers, even the one in progress. Print out the posters, in small, of course. Maybe even copy the journal cover of your article. And here's a pro tip. You should also print out your students' teaching evaluations if you want to remember them. Okay, so if they aren't over the moon, don't worry. Usually students who you failed in their exams or you marked below their expectations tend to be overrepresented in the evaluations. And of course, they will mark you as low as possible. It's only human. You have to reframe that accordingly. I also want you to think about a letting go token. This can be something simple like a small rock or a slip of paper with a single word on it, symbolizing what you need to release. Perhaps it's your fear of not being seen as an expert in your new role anymore. Maybe it's your worry about navigating office politics or learning a new vocabulary business language. Whatever it is, include something that embodies your intent to let go of that fear or doubt. And if fear and doubt trigger you, please also listen to our 2 episodes, Tame Your Fears Before Leaping into Business, Part 1 and 2, because you really have to control that. Personally, I felt like a persona non grata when I left academia, and that was also reflected in my early days in business. My husband always said that at that time, he had this feeling that I felt of myself like being plankton at the very last of the supply chain, so to speak. And I had a huge learning curve to evolve into my new professional identity, even though academia and businesses seem to be in stark contrast. Your personality, your habits will potentially serve and harm you in both worlds. So you better tame your fears. Let's pause for a moment to respect those who sponsor this valuable episode. I want to share with you my number 1 lead generator, and you can start that even without a podcast. It's Typeform, and I use them to create free quizzes with open questions and multiple choice answers. I also predefine mandatory answers so I can qualify and score leads, collect their email addresses for later nurturing. I can brand my quizzes with my audio files, branch a given quiz based on the answers for the different target groups, maybe sharing specific podcast episodes or other information, and automatically send them an email after submitting the quiz. I even include a calendar invite for those leads who qualify specifically. So now I can help everyone on the surface and on a deep level for free and divert my own valuable time only to my high-ticket leads. I collect all the data automatically after my initial setup, as I have also integrated it with my remaining tech stack. If you want to try out Typeform for your own lead generation and qualification, DM or email me Typeform so I can share my experience and consult you. Please check it out via my link in the show notes. Again, I only get a small financial reward if you become their customer using my Typeform link. After this quick appreciation of our sponsors, we are now back in our insightful episode. Once you have chosen your time capsule items, that's the 3 letters, one to the scientist, one to the future self, and one also as a checkup, whether you want to come back or not. Then you have the physical items from your lab or the pictures, and also your letting go token. Once you have all your time capsule items, I want you to find a nice box. I have only one big box to which I continuously add. If you like, you can download and print out our postdoc transformation time capsule picture so that you can use that for sealing your time capsule. Yes, you heard me correctly. I said sealing. Why? Now, that's the most powerful part. Sealing the time capsule. This act symbolizes that you are ready to embrace your future without being held back by the weight of your past. And think of this postdoc transformation hot air balloon, right? When you enter the balloon, it's still on the ground and it won't lift up when it still have those weights on it attached. But if you let them go, the balloon will be able to go up in the air. And that's essentially what I want you to also have for yourself. This time capsule symbolizes the weight of your past. And it doesn't mean that you're forgetting your experience as a scientist, like I said already, but it's rather recognizing that it's time for you to lift up. You can physically seal the capsule by placing your items in a box like a container. Some people even like to bury it somewhere. If you don't want to part with physical objects, the act of mentally sealing the time capsule is also working well. The key is to give yourself permission and to let go of the parts of your scientific identity that no longer serve you. To let go of the expectations tied to that role as a scientist, and to let go of the idea that when you transition into a business role, your worth as a researcher is reduced. It's not. And I can tell you, I have already met my own supervisors from my past a couple of times. And it was always a heartfelt welcome back and celebration of what I have become since then. You're just shifting your skills and perspective into a new arena, and even you become something bigger. You allow yourself to use different type of skill set that maybe even wasn't appreciated in science. So now you can be your true self. Maybe you're using your transferable skills and think, well, these are not your best core scientific skills, but it doesn't matter. Just because you can be a scientist, you don't have to be a scientist all the time. Especially if your new role is a non-scientific one, being too scientific can be intimidating for your team members, your boss. You don't have to prove it. You know what you can. And the time capsule will reflect that. So once your time capsule is sealed, take a moment to reflect. You've honored your past, and now you're ready to step confidently into your new future. And your scientific background, your mindset is still with you, but it doesn't have to define you in this new space. Okay, think of it as a jumpstart foundation you're building on, not a limiting box you're stuck in. And moving into business or industry will require new skills. Business mindset, obviously. The willingness to be a beginner, a bloody beginner, again in some areas. All areas, really. But remember, the problem-solving abilities, analytical mindset, and persistence that you have honed as a scientist are huge assets. And you're more prepared for this new challenge than you may realize. Remember, you are a postdoc transformer. You are highly intelligent, well-educated, a bachelor, master, and maybe you have already your doctor under your belt, or you are a postdoc. You are internationally experienced, fluent in English, a leader and expert in your prior research field. You're resilient, brilliant in adaptation and problem solving. You are eager to bring in the transferable and monetizable skills needed in many companies to embrace the future and to become or remain an innovator in their markets. Have you found this episode so far helpful for yourself? Well, maybe you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or wherever you get our show. And also share this episode with your PhD bestie because that would encourage us to help the underprivileged, underrepresented, and underserved early career scientists leaping into business. This would also ensure that you don't miss a future episode. Also, our subscription and listening numbers are key for finding the right sponsors for our show so that we can help you for free. And now, back to the show. You don't need to completely let go of your identity, but you need to allow room for your new identity to grow and to make new mistakes, to evolve as a personality. By creating this time capsule, you've created a boundary between who you were and who you are becoming. One that allows you to move forward with clarity and confidence. And I'm not the only one telling you that. I want you to also listen to the interviews of the Postdoc Transformation Show with Dr. Sonia Ulan, Dr. Christina Sol, and Dr. Emily Rosenthal, and Dr. Luna Munoz, and I will link to them in the show notes. And maybe you will also discover that you had prejudices towards the business world and that you can be a great sales and marketing professional, even though that is more or less the opposite of what a scientist would behave. But because you were able to let go and to embrace, you are giving yourself the opportunity to discover this as well. So what's next after you have created your time capsule? I want you to think of this as the first step in building the bridge to your new professional life. And in our season finale, we will build the bridge you need tomorrow. So stay tuned and subscribe on your favorite podcast player if you haven't, so you don't miss it. Now back to your time capsule. This symbolic letting go doesn't end here. It's something that you can revisit whenever you need to, whenever you feel the weight of your past creeping into your new role. As you move forward, I encourage you to adopt the mindset of a learner. Embrace the fact that you will encounter situations that feel unfamiliar, just like you did when you first stepped into the lab or defended your thesis. Those challenges are part of your growth and transformation into this new version of yourself. After a couple of years in IT, which I really enjoyed as an IT strategy consultant at Accenture, I became pregnant and I returned to academia to be appointed as a professor at an applied university in Germany. That was 2014. My oldest kid is 10 years old and I have just recently celebrated my 10 years anniversary as a professor. And as much as I love teaching, I love learning and working in tech. I learned to play the social media game and to create a podcast. And to state the obvious, every change, every learning curve was boosted by my previous experience. If you want a relatively passive income, creating a paid e-course as your service is a great option, especially if you are like me, an experienced teacher in higher education, and now want to share even more knowledge and maybe also create a paid membership with live group meetings beyond the e-course. Offering an e-course is a no-brainer. Thinkific is an AI-infused learning management system, which is a dream for every educator. After setting up an e-course or membership, you also need to market and sell your e-course, and that's when lead generation with Typeform and podcasting with Descript and Podbean can complement you well. If you want to try out Thinkific for creating your own e-course and membership, DM or email me, Thinkific, so I can share my experience and consult you. Please check it out via my link in the show notes. I only get a small financial reward if you become their customer using my Thinkific link. So trust me, you can be proud of your achievements and you will be back as a high performer in no time. And if you ever feel uncertain, remember the time capsule is there as a reminder of how far you've come, what you have let go of, and the limitless potential you hold for what's to come. Hey, postdoc transformer, are you curious to ask professors, principal investigators, visiting scientists, postdocs, PhD students, and candidates some in-depth life and career guiding questions? But it feels cringe, so you end up not asking? Buy our postdoc transformation card game to have more fun and valuable insights in your journal club, lab, and mentoring meetings, lab rotations, during conferences, panels, and breaks at the Mensa. You'll get 10 intriguing mentoring questions per career level. So 10 for PhD students, 10 for postdocs, 10 for professors, 10 for parental scientists, underprivileged and underrepresented and underserved scientists. Check them out with our discount coupon on the Postdoc Transformation shop, linked on PostdocTransformation.com. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Postdoc Transformation Show. I hope this exercise of creating a time capsule helps you mark this moment in your career transition. You deserve to enter your next chapter with confidence, clarity, and a peace of mind. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your PhD besties, because this is how I get to help you for free. As always, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me your questions for future episodes, and even take a picture of your sealed time capsule. That will really make my day. Do you want a transcript of our episode? And our episode sponsors answers to all 6 bold questions so that you can choose to apply. Do you want to nominate your potential employer of choice so that we can ask them our bold questions? For all of that, click on our links in our show notes and on our website, www.postdoctransformation.com. Remember to check your readiness to leap out of science and to enroll in our free email course, Career Transition Made Simple. Thanks for your attention. I'm Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, the host of your seasonal Postdoc Transformation Show. So far, you have learned all my favorite marketing and sales tools. Now, how can you bring all the data from your audience, leads, and clients together so you can serve them on a value ladder and for the long term? Even after multiple touchpoints with you, you want to remain on their mind for when they are ready to buy your service or product. I am expanding my digital business, and I use ActiveCampaign as the centerpiece for all my services like email course, podcast, newsletter, show notes, websites, sales page, merch shop, forms, whatever it is as needed. As a former IT strategy consultant, I have high requirements on my tech stack, and ActiveCampaign offers so many integrations to all my other apps. I really use it daily. If you want to create your own digital business with various AI-driven lead magnets and funnel options, DM or email me, ActiveCampaign, so I can share my experience and consult you. Please check it out via my link in the show notes. I only get a small financial reward if you become their customer using my ActiveCampaign link. Postdoc Transformation.